Welcome back. This is Danielle with part 2 of the 6-part series all about relationships. Last week we went over the red flags of unhealthy relationships and the key principles for healthy relationships. Now, one of the principles is communication. Communication is a complex skill, but when you truly master it, the world is at your fingertips and your relationship becomes so much easier and healthier. And if you missed part 1, you can find it in the description below. So, what are the skills that make up communication? The first one is vulnerability. So the first part of communication is that you need to work on if you want to master this area of life is vulnerability. This is also one of the hardest skills. Being vulnerable in your communication means being honest, open, and sharing often. It means not holding back due to fear of what the other person might think. It means putting yourself out there for better or for worse. It is through vulnerability that you will find deep connection, clarity in your communication, and not get caught up in trying to have someone read your mind. So that's part 1. That's one of the skills, vulnerability. The second skill for communication is asking questions. So you must make a practice of listening more than you're talking. However, that does not mean just waiting for the other person to share. It is up to you to make sure that the other person feels comfortable sharing with you by being vulnerable yourself and asking questions that show your true interest in what they have to say. Asking a question is an invitation for connection and love. Put that invitation out there often. And the third skill for communication is listening. So listening seems like obvious advice and an obvious skill for communication, yet most of us struggle with being a good listener. Often we think about what we're going to say next or get distracted by something in our environment. However, it's through listening that you really learn about the other person, develop trust, and are better armed to show them love and appreciation. So how can you be a better listener? That's the key, right? So I have a few tips for you to practice being a better listener. The first tip is to make eye contact. It's hard to get distracted by other things in the environment when you are cueing your mind to what's important through eye contact. Eye contact also helps us develop deep connection and makes us feel vulnerable. Therefore, it's a great way to deepen communication between you and your partner anyway. The second tip is to repeat back. So show the other person that you're listening by repeating back what they're saying to them. Not like a robot, but in a clarifying and affirmative way. You can try saying, in quotes, "So you're saying," and then repeat back what they say. There's no pressure to add your thoughts or ideas to the conversation at this point. Your only goal is to be a good listener. Then the conversation can deepen from there. So I hope you take these skills to be a better communicator and a good listener. I can't wait to hear what insights came up for you as you're practicing this. So please share with me in the comments below. And if you want to make big strides in your ability to communicate, then let's work together one-on-one. I only have limited space, so if you're interested, make sure you check out the link in the description below. And I will see you next week for part 3 on the series all about relationships.